there has been a lot of debate about President Obama's no boots on the ground strategy in the war against ISIS.
And tonight in The Price of Freedom, Josh Rose sits down with retired General B.B. Bell to get his thoughts on how to fight the war in the Middle East. Josh.
Kim and Calvin, four-star General B.B. Bell retired from the Army in 2008 after 39 years of military service. He now lives in the Chattanooga area. He sat down with us to discuss the war against ISIS from a military strategy point of view. He told us what he thinks needs to happen. Last month, President Obama outlined his plan to combat ISIS. That plan included airstrikes and more service members to the region. But the president also said those forces will not have a combat mission and, quote, we will not get dragged into another ground war in Iraq.
Our government and the people of America are terribly confused about how to do this, and so we're in a bit of a reactive mode right now.
Retired General B.B. Bell says the confusion is about the tactics the government is currently using to fight ISIS.
Here's my view on tactics. First and foremost, the United States has to commit military forces and other political, economic, and diplomatic power to defeat this enemy, principally by killing or capturing their leaders and their operatives. There's no other way to do this. Persuasion and soft words are interesting, but they won't work in this fight.
But what will work in this fight? General Bell says the question should not be, do we need boots on the ground? Rather, it should be, how do we use our boots on the ground?
Putting large conventional ground forces on the ground, World War II, Korea, light forces, even forces that we had in Iraq for some years, will not work in this context for the long term. They might work in the short term.
He says we need some forces on the ground in the Middle East, but we also need cooperation from allied forces such as the Iraqi military.
Without Americans on the ground with our allied forces, they're not going to be able to bring the combat power to bear to defeat the enemy. So we have to get over this no boots on the ground thing and recognize that a few boots, equipped and trained properly, with tactical air control parties and advisors embedded with our allies, will pay huge dividends for America.
General Bell also knows what ground forces in Iraq and Syria would mean.
Will we lose some great service members in combat as a result of that? I suspect we will, and I regret that deeply. But it beats having an enemy at will attack the homeland, killing our civilians over time. Remember, the United States has a military to protect America. Protecting America means that some of our service members may have to go in harm's way.
General Bell also says a key part in ending our combat role in the Middle East is for the U.S. and its allies to become energy independent.